it's party time. My golf story brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey, welcome to the program. This is episode number 7, and we have some news to report. First of all, let's just get to the one thing that may seem obvious with the graphics and everything else. We're having a name change. The spirit of the podcast is not changing at all, but our new name is going to be, it's Party Time, My Golf Story. We thought from a marketing standpoint, that would be a much more personal thing because that has been our intention from the very beginning, is to get the real personal story from people who are chasing it wherever they are. We're still keeping our relationship with the West Florida Golf Tour because there are just so many good stories there. That is the backyard. Just a little name change, but the format of the show really hardly changes at all. Got more news to report. The viewership on YouTube, not to mention all the hits on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, however you're accessing us, is going through the roof. And I really appreciate that. We couldn't have done it without you, but we couldn't have done it without good guests and good content and people sharing the word that there are great golf stories right in your backyard. It may not always be someone that you've heard of, a mainstream name, but their stories are just absolutely compelling and worth your time. So help us in this regard, like and subscribe to this channel because that makes a big difference. And ultimately, we might get paid for it, which is nice because everyone wants to get paid. Big thanks to our title sponsor, Party Drinks, a golf drink for golfers by golfers. For a list of the different places where you can get that, in particular in Florida, but everywhere across America. Check us out online at drinkparty.com. And if you're looking for golf real estate, if your dream is to live in a golf community or a golf-like resort, or if you have a home and you're looking to sell it, there's no better golf real estate team than the team of Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh of Fine Properties on the Suncoast. Check them out at suncoastdreams.com or 941-220-4000. Andrew Farraye, have you been enjoying the program? I just had to get through some of the different housekeeping things there first before we got into our discussion with you. But you understand, it's just part of the business. Had to do it. Listen, man, I'm excited that you're on because we have the two most famous Purdue alums here on a podcast. I'm kidding. What you might turn out to be, but the wardrobe, I wore it just for you, and you got the Purdue hat going on. It's all good. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Kevin. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to share my story.
It is a good story. Let's take a deep dive into the golf part of it in just a moment, but let's just have a little bit of fun getting to know you. First of all, where are you from and how did golf come into your life?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. My whole family really was a huge golf family. My dad's golfed since he was in high school and got me into the game when I was young. He bought me some AccuLength set for Christmas back when I was 7 years old. Those are the clubs where you can put the inserts into the shaft and make the shaft longer. So that was my first set of clubs. And honestly, I didn't really like golf when I was younger. But by the time I was about 11 or 12, that's when I really started to fall in love with the game.
Did you get good at it quickly, or was it a slow burn, so to speak?
I would say I got good at it really quickly because when I finally fell for the game, I fell hard and I worked my butt off because I wanted to beat my friends. I wanted to beat my dad. I wanted to beat my brothers. And I did pretty soon.
Like, how quickly did that happen? And when you talk about your brothers, how many are there?
I have two brothers. Yeah. An older brother and a younger. I'm a middle child.
Oh, me too. I didn't know that. Right. So we're always having to prove ourselves because the older one thinks he's cool. The younger one is mom and dad's pet.
That wasn't the case for my family.
No. Okay. Well, what was it like? I mean, it was.
I was the parents' pet. Luckily.
You were the favorite son.
I'm going to get in trouble. And I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. My parents just liked to bicker at him, and they bickered back and forth. But, they're great now. That was just the thing when we were younger. But yeah.
Why Purdue? How does, first of all, tell me about your hometown, where you're from, and just how important that was to your growing up.
Oh, man, it was huge. It was the best decision I've ever made. I was going to Purdue. And, it is interesting coming from Florida, for someone like me to move out to Indiana, where it gets down to 0 degrees in the winter, for me to go up there. But I wanted to get out of the state. I lived here my whole life. I wanted to experience something new. And the Purdue head coach, Rob Bradley, comes down to Jacksonville in the winter time with his son, Cole Bradley. And I met them and built a good relationship with them and, put Purdue on my radar. And the coach showed a lot of interest in me. He seemed like a fabulous coach. And so I actually committed before I ever took the visit to Purdue. I was so in on it. And I was so pumped. I remember that call with Coach Bradley telling him that, I want to commit. And he was like, absolutely. That might have been the most excited I've ever been.
So then you get to Purdue, and we'll get into the golf part, but just let's have a little bit of fun. Yeah. Have you ever been to Triple X?
Probably not as much as you, Kevin. I was more of a Mad Mushroom guy. Loved my cheesy bread at night. Dipping it in the ranch and the and the cheese sauce. Oh my gosh. Okay,
so you're gonna have to help me out with that. What is the Mad Mushroom? Is that where?
Okay, it must have came in after you were there. It's just like a pizza parlor. It's right across from Harry's. So it's very accessible. And they just their cheesy bread's unreal. It hits different at night.
Especially at 2:30 in the morning when you've been in Harry's. So you just led me to my next question. You've spent a decent amount of time in Harry's, I take it?
I have, yes.
Okay, for those that are not familiar, its official name is Harry's Chocolate Shop. There's no chocolate there. What's going on? And have you left your mark behind? Do you know what I mean when I tell you that?
Yeah, I do. I have not left my mark. I'm going to get up there and soon and get my mark somewhere on the wall. They've got thousands of names on the walls at Harry's. I mean, people etch their names in the wood. Super historic little building there. Great vibes. And, my mom would always call me saying, hey, why are you buying so much chocolate? After looking at my credit card statement. And I had to tell her, it's not chocolate, Mom. So that's always fun.
It may be the best college bar in America, and it may have like the best name, because if credit card statements are coming home to mom and dad, they have no idea what they're doing. Because we had a guy when I played at Purdue, David Smith. He was our captain. He was a senior when I was a freshman. Same story. His credit card statements were coming home, and they're like, "Who are you buying all this chocolate for? What's going on?" It wasn't chocolate at all. All right, I'm going to take you back in time before Purdue, and then we'll get back into it. But when did you know that you were a good golfer and you might have a future competitively?
I don't know if there was a specific day that I knew. I remember I remember my first swing coach always telling me that I'm going to make it big. I had the power. I had the determination and the work effort, or the
work ethic.
I can't remember. Like, there wasn't a certain day where I'm gonna make it big. Like, it was kind of just a gradual thing, I think.
And then you get to Purdue and you get a taste of major Division I golf. Was there a bit of a learning curve, or was it something of a wake-up call? Because I know it was for me, because I thought I was fantastic, and so did everybody else I teed it up against, and nobody cared about anybody else.
Oh, yeah. There was a bit of a learning curve. I definitely had to work on my mental game. I remember Coach harping on me about that all year. So that was a huge part of my learning curve, and course management stuff. I was just bomb and driver everywhere, just trying to overpower the course, and that's obviously not ideal, especially in the team aspect of college golf. That was not ideal. So yeah, I had to learn a lot my freshman year, and I definitely got a lot better that year. But yeah, college golf it's tough. Every player has a chance to win, especially at the level Purdue is. We're playing some of the best teams in the country, top 30, sometimes top 20 team. Purdue is, and yeah, but that's what makes it so great is we're playing the best players, and I absolutely love that.
You mentioned the mental side of the game. What were you doing to try and strengthen that? Was there something off that Coach Bradford picked up on?
Yeah, I was very much so perfectionist, and I still am. It's still something I have to work on. I never throw clubs, but I get upset when I start to play badly, hit some bad shots, So even little things as just after hitting a bad shot and, so kind of look down and go, dang it. Just little things like that, could affect the guy behind me on it's on my team.
Right. The optics of bad body language.
Feed off that energy. So that was something, that I had to work on a lot, and it was tough for me, I'll admit.
What was the toughest part of college golf? You went through you were in a dark place with the putting. Do you want to take me down that road?
Of course, yeah. So I got the yips my end of my sophomore year of college, and it was really bad. So I would 3-putt 7 times around, and I'd shoot like 75. I should have been shooting like 65 during this time, like 68 averaging. But I was shaking over 1 and 2 foot putts, and not just completely jabbing, yipping them, missing the hole entirely. And it was a disaster. I went through so many different strategies to try and overcome that. I went to a reverse claw grip for a while, and it helped at the beginning, and then went right back to yipping putts. I even tried arm lock, and that was a complete disaster. That made it way worse, which is surprising, I thought. And then I tried different putters until eventually I settled upon actually putting lefty. So I switched the side of the ball that I was putting on, and that actually was the solution. And that's how I am where I am today.
That was the game changer. But
yeah,
if I can go back and just talk about the pain before we move on and like getting over it.
Yeah.
Was it to the point where you started hating golf and considered giving it up?
Absolutely. It was so frustrating. I did hate golf at the time. It was not fun for me. I hated, I put so much effort into the game, and I felt like I wasn't getting anything back, even though I was hitting the ball great. Fantastic. I was a ball striker, but I was missing 1, 2, 3 foot putts like no one else on earth. And so, yeah, I was in a really dark place. I was really upset. And this was also during, the time COVID hit, right after my sophomore year. That was COVID. My sophomore year got cut short because of COVID. I don't know if there's a correlation there. No, I'm kidding. But yeah,
tell me that. I can feel your pain just coming through the screen, because I've seen others with yips. I can't imagine. Well, I've kind of had them a little bit, but not to the level that you just described. But I've seen it really bad, and it's difficult to watch. Yeah. Did anybody ever say anything to you in trying to be helpful, even though they may have been a competitor?
Oh yeah, I mean, my coach was trying to help me with it. You know, he would always tell me, "Oh, let's eliminate the practice strokes. You know, just get over it and hit it as fast as you can. Basically, you know, get it over with." I got a mental coach, and we worked on my mental game, you know, how I went about thinking about things, I guess. And it's just none of it really worked. And so it was really upsetting. Yeah.
But you got to, I ask this of competitive golfers sometimes, because I think sometimes our self-esteem as people gets wrapped up in our golf game, even though it's just a game. We're different people off the golf course, but was your mood affected off the golf course by your performance on it?
I mean, occasionally, yes. I would get wrapped up a little bit in it. I mean, because it's what I do, but I had a hard time differentiating what I do and who I am. And now I've gotten better at that, but I felt like, you know, if I'm not good at this, then I'm a bad person. It's almost how I felt. You know, I'm letting the team down. You know, I'm a failure if I'm not out there competing with the best.
You're not the only person that said that. I had during my sophomore year where I was really struggling, like my freshman year at Purdue, I couldn't crack the starting lineup, and I was on a partial scholarship, so I felt the pressure of that too, and I felt like I was a failure. And then I heard an interview with Tom Pernice Jr., who now plays on the Champions Tour. And he said, I couldn't believe how much my self-esteem was wrapped up in my golf game. He's like, how I feel about myself as a person, as a dad, as a father. He's like, it's just a game. Now, it's important to us. You understand. I understand.
Yeah.
And that, for me, just hearing somebody else express exactly how I felt, and that you really do need to have two lives or an off switch, made such a difference. And then my sophomore year, I cracked the lineup and I stuck ever since. And it was just, sometimes you just need to hear that voice of reason, right?
Of course. Yeah. I agree.
Andrew Farraye is our guest. He is a graduate of Purdue University. He's playing on the West Florida Golf Tour. Big thanks to him. Big thanks to our title sponsors, Party Drinks. If you're looking for an alternative to beer and some of the hard seltzers out there that a lot of people are just getting tired of, Party is for you. One of the smoothest drinks you can have. For the list of some of the places where you can find it, log on to the internet at drinkparty.com. Or actually, I'll just name a couple for you just as a big thanks to them. Azario, Esplanade Azario, Rosedale Country Club, Misty Creek Country Club, Bent Tree Country Club, the Preserve Golf Club, all in the Bradenton, Sarasota area. 7-Eleven, State Road 64 and Lorraine Road. Links at Greenfield Plantation. Lucky Mobile, which is right across the street from the Links at Greenfield Plantation. So go play golf there. Have a couple parties there, and then go across the street and get a couple for the ride home. If you're on Siesta Key, Crescent Beach Market, great place to load up before you go to the beach. That's one of our customers, as is Spearfish Grill right down the street. And Legacy Golf Club and Shark's Tooth in Panama City Beach, and also New Pass Grill and Bait Shop, which is right by Longboat Cay. So appreciate them, and also appreciate the Real Estate Dream Team of Vince Vizzacaro and Gene Walsh. If your dream is to live on a golf course, or if you have property on a golf course that you're looking to sell, make sure you get in touch with them, because nobody's better. You can find them, a division of Fine Properties, suncoastdreams.com, or call them at 941-220-4000. So Andrew, let's talk about the transition to the pro game of golf. So I would think, not that I've played, but just like your introduction into major Division I college golf, first time you tee it up as a pro, you may think that, like, hey, I'm pretty good and I'm going to show everybody, and nobody cares. Am I on the mark with that?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty on the mark. Yeah, so when I graduated in May, this past May, I had already earned my conditional status on the Canadian Tour, which I was pretty pumped about. And I go out on Monday into my first the first event because I had conditional. I didn't get in automatically, and I missed the cut. I mean, it's, you think you're on your game, and even when you are, sometimes it's not good enough. Yeah, it's a tough game. Everywhere you look, there's incredible players. So,
what would you say was your breakthrough moment as a pro, where you thought, "Hey, I think I belong. I think I have a future here."
Yeah, like I just said, I would say it was Monday into that first Canadian Tour event. So I gained my conditional status back in March, was when Q School was. I finished 17th. And so by June, I think June was when the Monday qualifier for the first event was. I shot 5 under that day. And I believe there was one guy at like 8 under, and there was one guy at 7, and 3 of us at 5 under, with me included. So there was a 3-for-1 playoff for the last spot into this event. And I go out, first guy shanks his ball in the woods. I tee up, I hit it right down the middle. Next guy hits a bad shot into a bunker. I go on. That first guy got out pretty quickly on that hole, but me and this other guy made par, and we made par on the next 4 holes. And on the 5th playoff hole, I made an 8-footer for birdie to beat him and get my spot into the first event of the Canadian Tour. And I'd say that was the turning point in my career. That gave me so much confidence. I proved to myself that I'm capable and that I belong on the Canadian Tour. And that I, could overcome a 5-hole playoff. So I think it was a 6-hole playoff, against 2 other guys. And so that was just a massive confidence boost for me going into the rest of the season, knowing that I belong.
How were the nerves at that point?
It was nervy. There's so much on the line. I had conditional status. I needed to make a cut in one of those first 5 events. And to do that, you have to get into one of those 5 events by Monday. So, that was a lot of pressure. And I think that those 6 holes in that playoff were arguably the best 6 holes I've ever played.
Wow.
I hit every shot exactly the way I wanted to. Every putt was right on the money. I lipped out like 3 or 4 times for birdie, and the other guy was scrapping pars. So it was really, really special. My dad was on the bag. My mom was there. It was a little emotional after the round,
Well, stop right there. Yeah. How emotional did it get? I want to know.
I was in tears, and I'm getting a little emotional just thinking about it right now. Like, yeah, it's special. Yeah.
What about mom and dad? What kind of condition were they in?
They were tearing up as well. Yeah, they were so proud of me, and I mean, it was just so cool to have them there to experience that with me. Really special moment in my life.
Mm-hmm. So what's the status of your game right now? I know you're playing on the West Florida Golf Tour.
Yeah.
Are you playing good? Are you in a good place? What's going on? What are you working on?
I've been playing pretty well. I played a couple of mini tour events since the end of Canada. I played in a lot of West Florida events, a lot of Florida Pro events. And I've been playing pretty good. I had 2 top 10 finishes on the West Florida Tour. Played solid golf. The game's still trending upwards, and it's good. I've got a lot of tournaments coming up, and I'm excited to see where 2024 goes. I think it's going to be a great year.
It's not cheap playing professional golf. How do you fund it?
Not at all. No, it's very expensive. More so than people probably think. Entry fees are close to $1,000. Then you have hotel stays. You got food, gas. I mean, gas is a big expense as well. But I'm really fortunate that my dad said that he would help me out the first 2 years out of college with my expenses. So I'm really thankful for my dad for helping me out. Yeah, I would not be here if it weren't for him, because it's that expensive.
Yeah. How long do you have any deadlines that you have for yourself? The goal's the PGA Tour. I can assume that.
That's the end goal. Yes, of course.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. And whatever it takes to get there.
That's 100%.
Okay.
No, I don't have a deadline. I'm all in.
Love it. Do you have any other side hustles to help with some of the cash? Are you doing any other work?
Actually, I just recently got a caddying job at Pablo Creek in Jacksonville. Well, it's with Caddy Master, which they actually have a ton of locations. So they actually said if I were to move somewhere, I don't have to reapply or anything. I could just get set up in a different course they have wherever. And they have a ton of courses. But it's an ideal position for me right now. It makes pretty good money, really good money actually, for what I have to do. And it's extraordinarily flexible. I can pretty much go in whenever I need to, whenever I want.
Yeah. They understand if you got to practice or if you have to get, because you got an event, right?
In the state of my career, it's ideal.
Are the people you caddy for, do they know what you're going through? Does it come up in conversation?
Yeah. They ask, what I do and stuff. And if I usually end up telling them, I'm a professional golfer. I played on the Canadian tour. I'm trying to go pro, play on the big tour. So yeah, I don't think they might not know exactly what that takes. I mean, they know it's hard, but yeah.
What are the misconceptions about the mini tours? Just how difficult it is, the level of competition, just how expensive it is. I think when some people hear pro golf, they think glamorous. Are you here to say, nope, not yet?
No, not on the mini tours. It's not glamorous at all. It's nothing like PGA Tour or Korn Ferry or the Canadian Tour. I mean, you get treated worse than amateur events sometimes. I mean, usually you don't get any free food most of the time. It's like some amateur events, they'll have buffets every day. But yeah, and the courses, they can be pretty sketchy. Greens can be really bumpy, dirt, everywhere. So you never know what you're going to get on the mini tours. Sometimes they're pretty good, but most of the courses are not great, and the ranges can be bad. And the range balls are just dimpleless. Some of the places. So yeah, it's not a glamorous life. You're bumming it out in cheap hotel rooms with buddies, pulling out air mattresses and stuff.
Okay, well, what's the largest number of guys you had share a hotel room?
In a hotel room, I've done 3. Okay,
so that's not that. Well,
it's not bad. 3 was not bad, but I've done. What's nice is Airbnb. Airbnbs is the way to go. We split up the cost of Airbnbs a lot, and you get our own room. So that's nice, and it's fun. We're with other guys. But a lot of the times, you're on your own as well. And it's a lonely sport. You're out there. I've played in several events where I'm just staying by myself. You play around, you go back to the hotel room, and you're just chilling by yourself for the night. And, I don't mind it myself, but.
Yeah, you said it, though. It is a lonely sport, especially when you're struggling and even when you're not. All right, we're getting a little short on time here. Tell me, who was your hero growing up as a golfer?
My hero.
Were you a Tiger guy?
Growing up, I really liked Ricky Fowler.
Yeah.
His flair, he was the coolest dude. I loved the Puma gear and stuff. I always had on the crazy colors and everything. I loved Ricky. Yeah.
He was the guy
I watched at the Players at Sawgrass down the road.
Right. Did you wear the Ricky Fowler outfit like when you went to?
not the full on, all orange pants and stuff, but I'd have on, the hat and the crazy shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I once saw a junior golf tournament. I have a nephew that played college golf in Texas, and I went to play golf with him, and I looked on the range, and there were it was full of 12 and 13-year-olds, all Puma stuff, all little Ricky Fowlers, no pants, because it was Texas in the summer. Oof. But they had the Bermudas on. They look like little, I mean, why not? And he's a great guy too. Any starstruck moments? Have you ever bumped into any of the game's greats? You got a story you can share about that?
I have. So back in 2017, I met Jack Nicklaus at the Florida Amateur, and it was at his course, the Bears Club. And I shook his hand. I got a picture with him. Yeah, he was doing that with everyone there. So it was a really brief interaction, but that was really cool. Getting a picture with arguably the best golfer of all time. So
I met Jack in 1979 in Philadelphia. The PGA Tour had a tour stop at White Marsh Valley Country Club. And I asked the marshal, I said, do you know when Jack Nicklaus is coming to the range? He said, stand by this bridge. Every player comes over. So I waited him out. I stood on one side, and then here came Jack out of the clubhouse. And I started getting nervous because he's walking. He's got the blonde hair back in the day and everything. And I almost started shirking away because I was nervous. I'm acting this out for video for the audio people. I was almost set to run away. And then Jack saw my behavior, started imitating it. Like, I'm afraid of you. I'm going to run away. And then he just gave me, he started, pulling his finger like, come here, come on over. And I met him halfway. God, if I had a picture of that, I mean, that'd be something to die for. Hey, one last question before we call it a night here, Andrew. You have a nickname. What is it? How'd you get it?
Yeah. So when I got to Purdue, I was always known as the guy who was leaving his clubs on the last hole. I would, leave my rangefinder. I would put the wrong club in my bag. So I'd take someone else's club that they, had on the ground, and I put it in my bag because I thought it was mine. Countless stories like this. Actually, there's times where I actually picked up someone else's golf bag and walked down the fairway with it, only for them to, be like, hey, your bag?
What are you doing?
I know. So they called me Buzz or Lightyear or Buzzer. Those were my nicknames. I don't get called that as much now. I've gotten better, a lot better at that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they would go zzz, zzz to me whenever I did something like that. Just it's a funny nickname, and basically it's they're saying that I'm buzzed. I'm drunk. What are you doing?
Gotcha.
What are you doing, Farraye? But yeah, most guys just call me Farraye or Rayster, Rayman.
I kind of like the buzz one. I think that might stick a little bit. But listen, I hope your game continues to grow, and I hope that sends a buzz through the golf world, and maybe we can bring that nickname back with the story. But in the meantime, I appreciate you joining us here on It's Party Time, My Golf Story. Come on back sometime. You cool with that, Andrew?
Oh, for sure. I'd love to, Kevin. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Yeah. Wish you all the best. For Andrew Farraye,
thank you so much.
I'm Kevin Walsh. Yeah. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for watching. Big thanks to our sponsors, Party Drinks. You know where to find it. Find it online. And also the real estate team of Gene Walsh and Vince Visicar. You can find them at suncoastdreams.com or 941-220-4000. For Andrew Farraye, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on It's Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com or call 941-220-4000.
This is Vince Vizzacaro and Gene Walsh with the SuncoastDreams.com real estate team at Fine Properties. We've helped hundreds of families find their dream homes in golf and resort communities in Lakewood Ranch, Bradenton, Sarasota, Parrish, Venice, and the surrounding areas.
Let us be your guides to finding your dream home here as well. Learn more at suncoastdreams.com or call us at 941-220-4000.